So today's topic is locators. See, in a web page, if you want to do any action or any activity, that is, we are interacting with some element, web element in the page. So we might be, if you take example of Facebook, so this is a web application, okay, and okay. So anything. Suppose if I want to enter email, that is, I am interacting with this email box. If I want to enter password, I am interact with password box. If I want to click login button, I am interacting with login button. So is the case. So in every interaction, you are actually interacting with sub element in the web page. Okay. So in order to interact with an element in the web page, we should be able to identify or locate that element first. Then interact with it. First locate it, then interact with it. So since it is a robot, it cannot directly go and uh, enter email in email field. We have to tell that this is email field. So we should locate that this is email field. Then we should tell the program to enter email ID in that email field. So is the case with password field. We should first tell that program this is the password field, then enter password. Okay. So in order to do any action, any activity in the web page, we should first locate that element. So for locating web element, there are multiple locators. Locate elements by id, by name, by class name, by tag, by link text, by partial link text, by xpath, okay, by css. There are multiple ways to locate a web element. Okay. So before actually going into locators, we should know some tools which are useful in identifying elements. Okay. For Chrome browser, those are called Chrome developer tools. For Firefox browser, they are called Firebug. There are tools like Firebug and Firepath. So let's go and see first Chrome developer tools. So this is my Chrome browser. Okay. So this is my Chrome browser. If I go here, go to more tools and developer tools. Okay. So this this is called as developer tools. So there are multiple tools available. I mean, so using this tool, you can do many things like identifying the elements. Uh, from console, this console tab, you can see actual what are the messages, JavaScript messages shown written to console. Sources, network tab, that is series of calls that are going. Okay. Uh, there are many things. Okay. If you want to locate an element, what to do is first open this developer tools. How to open it? Let me show this again to you. Can I hide them? Okay. So how to open developer tools? Go here, go to more tools, click developer tools. Okay. So now if I want to locate this email field, in that case, what should I do? Click on this pointer. Okay. First you need to click on this pointer. When this turns blue, then go and put that pointer on the element of your choice. So for email field, I have put my pointer over here. If I click, so it by default shows the HTML of that email field. So this line is HTML code which represents this email field. Similarly, if I want to represent this password field, I need to select that. Oh, sorry. So see, this is the HTML of your password field. So is the case of login button. Okay. So this is login. Okay. This is about developer tools. For now, this is sufficient. So for as part of locating Selenium, locating web elements, so it is good. It is sufficient if you know how to take this pointer and point on that element. So that gives the HTML. Then look at the HTML, see whatever you want. The tag, the for this email field, the tag used is input, since this is input field, right? So tag name of this HTML element is input. So there are, this input tag has multiple attributes. Type is one attribute, class is one attribute, name is one attribute, ID is one attribute. Okay, value, tab, index. Okay, there are multiple attributes. The tag name is input, and the remaining the other values presented are attributes. If I put it on login button, so tag is input again. Okay, value of the button is login, tab index equal to 4, type equal to submit. So this value, tab index, type, ID, these are all called attributes of that element. Okay, we'll go into details. So this is about Chrome developer tools. Other way to open is just simply press F12. Instead of going over here, going to more tools and clicking on developer tools, just click F12. This opens developer tools. Okay. Now let me do this in Firefox too. So Firefox, there is a plugin called Firebug. So even in Firefox, if you click F12, you will get the Firefox developer tools. These are all, sorry. So since I have already installed Firebug, it's giving me Firebug. Okay, let's go with Firebug only. How to install Firebug? You have to search for Firebug for Firefox. Okay, this gives Firebug add-on for Firefox. Okay, so I have already installed. I don't need to install it again. Okay, since it is already here. Once you install, it will ask you to restart. Okay, then we are done with installing Firebug. And now there is another add-on called Firepath. Okay, see, Firepath add-on for Firefox. I have installed this also, so I am not installing it again. So where to see Firepath? Firebug, you will see it over here. See this, this is Firebug. If I click it, it opens. Firepath, when you install, it comes as a tab here. Okay, this is the Firepath. This you will find only when you install Firepath in addition to Firebug. Okay, so this is about Firefox tool. Here also, if I open facebook.com, how to locate an element? See, make sure your tab is on HTML. Okay, so if it is on somewhere else, okay, so make sure your HTML tab is selected, then click this pointer, then take on to any element. It shows the HTML of that element. So then by reading that HTML, you can use that for locating your web elements. Okay, that there are multiple locators in Selenium. Okay, okay, now we'll go into locators. First is locating element by ID. Before that, let me create it's not minimizing, a new package called locators. So under locators, I'll create new class I'll name it locators examples. Okay, so since yesterday I told you we are going to use test ng for writing our tests, and we no more depend on this main method. We no more use this main method. All that we write is using our test ng annotations. So I'll just create a class in that. Okay, so first I'll create a method public void. Okay, locate by id method. Okay, I'm just naming it. You can give any name. Okay, so on top of it I have to give this an annotation. Then only test engine knows about this test. Okay, so then whatever code present in this is being executed as part of this test. Okay, first we'll open we'll create a new WebDriver object. WebDriver equal to, see this name I can give any name. I can just give driver. Okay, I can give any just d, just like that. This name we can give anything. So just to make things easy, I am giving the same name as WebDriver. The only difference being this W is smaller letter. Here this is WebDriver interface. W is capital here. Here small. So WebDriver equal to new. I cannot do this new WebDriver. ఎందుకు ఇది జారిపోతుంది? Second. I cannot do this. Equal to new WebDriver. So this I cannot do this because WebDriver is an interface. It's not a class. You cannot create object for interface. Okay, as I told, WebDriver interface is implemented by a class called Chrome driver. Okay, we should do it like this. Okay, so this Chrome driver is one of the classes which implements this WebDriver interface. So we can create object of Chrome driver. Now we have our WebDriver object ready. It's time to use the methods. So first method that we need to use is get. Okay, here I'll say the website that we want to open. Don't forget to give this HTTP. If you don't just give this HTTP and just give www.facebook.com, it will throw error. Okay, now it opens a new Chrome window here. Then in that window it opens Facebook. Now let us get the title. Dot get title. I just print it out. Okay, and after that we'll try to close the WebDriver. Now let me run this. What happened? Okay, we forgot one thing. See, this WebDriver, this Chrome driver is actually see looking for this value property. So WebDriver Chrome driver, WebDriver.Chrome driver, this property we need to set. So I'll set it using system dot set property. What is the property that is looks for? The property is this, and the value is the location of your chrome driver.exe. Where is it present? It's in drivers and chrome driver.exe. Okay, see, it opened new chrome browser. In that it opened facebook.com. See, this is the title. Okay, the title is Facebook login or sign up. This is the title. Okay? Then I am quitting it. Okay, so far it's fine. Mm, now what I'll do, open Chrome developer tools, that is by pressing F12. Then see how to identify this email field. Okay, see, if I copy this HTML, copy uh, element and paste it in Notepad plus any text editor. Okay, so this is the complete HTML of this email field. Now the tag name is input and it has multiple attributes. Okay, let me change it to, okay, see, all that are in red are attributes. Input is the tag, type is one attribute, class is one attribute, name is one attribute, id is one attribute, value is one attribute. Okay, tab and text. So the first thing that we need to discuss is locate elements by id. Let us see whether this email field has any id associated with it. Okay, it's not amazing. Okay, see, it has one attribute id. So the id of this email field is email. Okay, id is email. So what I will do, before quitting, I don't want to quit. Here in WebDriver class, there is that this WebDriver object has a method called find element. Okay, there is one find element and find elements. So since we want to find only one element, I will go with find element. If you want to find multiple elements, we should go for find elements. So since I want to find only one element, I go by, with this find element method. So to find element method, if you see, what is the parameter? It is an object of by class, by. Okay, by is a class in Selenium. So this by object of this by class should be passed to this find element. Okay, how to pass? So by dot, okay, see, by class name, by id, by link text, by name, by partial link, by tag name, by xpath, by class name, by css selector. Okay, so there are multiple methods present in this by class. So since we need to identify by id, I use this id. In this id, I need to pass the id. What is the id? id equal to email. So what does it return? If I see the return type, it returns a web element. Okay, if you see, this is the return type, web element. Okay, so this WebDriver means this find element is a method of WebDriver class which returns web element. Okay, so I will store it in a web element. I will call email element equal to, so what I have done, I created an object of web element class, okay, and stored the value returned by this method in this element. So now this email element represents your email field, okay. Now you know how to use this by id equal to email, okay. So here I am locating email field using id of that element, okay. This is how we need to use by id. Now once we store this email element, we can do some actions on it. Dot clear click equals, okay. What I'll do, um, dot send keys. So for now, just sorry. So this thread dot sleep, what this does, this method do is, um, after executing this line, it will wait for 5 seconds, then it will execute this method, okay. It will pause the execution for 5000 milliseconds, that means 5 seconds. This will pause your execution for 5 seconds. After that it will execute this. Why I am putting it here is, so if I don't put it here, when I run this, you don't see this. So it happens very quickly. This send keys method actually fills that field with this string, okay. Then it immediately quits, so that you cannot see what's happening there. If I put this here, it will wait 5 seconds so that you can see what exactly happened, then it quits. See, it opened. See, it entered value. That send keys method actually sends data into that field, okay. Then it quit, okay. This is send keys. So all that I am trying to tell is, once you have the element, then you can do many things on it. So one thing I did just now is just fill that field with this value. I can do other things too. Dot clear. Let us see what happens. Before send keys, so after send keys, I am putting another thread dot sleep, so that it will wait for 5 seconds and then execute clear. Okay, it entered value using send keys method, then it cleared. Dot clear method, it actually clears whatever value present in that field, then WebDriver will quit. So first it uh, it entered this value into that field, okay. Then it waited for 5 seconds, then it cleared that value, then it waited for 5 seconds, then it quit. Let me run this again. Okay, email id, it entered some value in here, then it cleared, then it quits, okay. So this is how we need to locate an element. Once you locate an element, you put that value into a web element, okay. Now using that web element, you can perform many actions on that element. Okay, so one important thing here is, what if I change this value? Okay, now I change this value, so this there is no element present in this Facebook page with this ID. Let's see what happens. So it opens Facebook. See, then it immediately threw the exception. It throws exception. What is the exception it thrown? See, no such element exception, or element not found exception. Okay, since there is no element which whose ID equal to this value, it has thrown exception. Then once it is thrown exception, immediately uh, it did not execute further steps. Then it came out of that test method. So at this line exception has occurred. Okay, then it did not execute any of these. Okay, so when you try to do something with the elements, or when you try to locate the elements, it's always required to put that in try catch block. Okay, and exception here. So if for some reason this element is not identified, since this line throws exception, in that case we should catch that exception, then do something. What I will do, I have to declare this outside. Okay, like this. So before try block itself, I have to declare this email element object. Okay, then in the try block I am getting the value of email element object. Okay, if it throws exception, so if it throws exception, what should we do? So here I'll do something like this. Okay, um, okay, and since you are doing all actions on this, you can do these actions only when you find the element. Okay, put all these inside this try block. Just keep this quit outside the try block. Okay, okay, so I'll just delete this. Then I put this webdriver.quit outside. Now let me run this. See, so this time you don't see an exception here. Why? Because there was actually an exception at this line. So immediately that exception was caught here. Then in this exception catch block, this code got executed. See, cannot locate email field. Okay, then after that WebDriver is quit. So it is always recommended, this piece of code, whatever you where you try to locate an element and do some activity, you put that in a try catch block. Okay, if you don't put in try catch block, if for some reason if that element is not identified, then the program execution stops abruptly without proper error handling. So here we actually handle this situation. Okay, but still if you see the result, it still shows the test has passed even though there was an exception. Why? Because if you remember, the test is the verification, we need to put a verification in the any test. Here we did not put any verification, we are not actually comparing anything. So since there is no verification, it is just a flat execution. Okay, irrespective of so since there is no point, there is no verification at all, it simply tells us that test case is passed. Okay, so how to fail this test case in case of exception is using assert dot assert equals, I just put it like this, true false. Okay, see, so here we are actually compare true with false. True and false never equal, that's why this assertion always fails and this test case is failed. Okay, let me run this. Okay, here now this time the test case is failed. Why? Because see, it tells expected false but found true. So what we did here is we are trying to do something in try block. If there is an exception in the catch block, we are catching that exception and doing some exception handling. So here in this case, exception handling is just printing that to console. I did not do anything more. Okay, so uh, in the catch block only I am putting this assertion. So since true and false are never equal, this will fail and this will fail your test case. Okay, that means when there is an exception, then only this code get executed, then only this test case fails. If there is no exception, and you will never get into catch block and your test case will never fail. As simple as that. Okay, let me change it to email again. Now since there is email field, this will not throw any exception. Okay, so since there is no exception here, you will not come into catch block and this line will never get executed. Okay, and hence your test case is never failed. Okay, see, it is passed now because there is an element whose ID equal to email. This element actually exists. That's why there was no exception at this point. Okay, since there is no exception, so this piece of code did not get executed. Then this line got executed. Your test case, uh, your driver got closed or quit. Okay, so this is very simple logic, simple and very important. So people who start who try to locate elements for the first time, they write this, but for some reason if this element is not there in the page, or if they have given some wrong identifier, in that case it throws element not found exception. Okay, and your consequent steps will not get executed and you don't have the clue of what's happening. So it's always a nice practice to use a try catch block in case of element identification. Okay, so that if there is an exception, you will catch that exception, you do the exception handling, you force the test case to fail here. You are actually forcing. Okay, true and false they are never equal. So that means I am forcing the test case to fail. Okay, so so if element is not found, since it is one of your verification step, your test case should fail. That's why we are failing it here. So this is about by ID. Okay, okay, our next method is locate by name. Okay, locate by name. See the same example. this email field has ID attribute that we just have seen the example of it. It also has a name attribute. Okay, so here they have put values as email for both name and ID. Don't get confused. You need to look at the attribute. Okay, so we have just seen the example of ID attribute. Now we have to see the example of name attribute. How to do that? Or okay, let me go for another element which has a different thing. So this time I'll go for first name element. Let's see whether it has any name attribute. See this complete code which is highlighted in blue represents your first name field. This field. Okay. So this first name field, the tag of this field is input. It has multiple attributes: type, class, data type, name, required. There is ID attribute also for it. Okay, like this. So since we need name attribute, I just copy this. Okay, name equal to first name. Okay, before that, let me create a test. How to create a test? First, I need to create a method. Void locate by ID method. Locate by name method. Or okay, I'll change it to locate by name test. Okay, here also I'll change it to locate by ID test. So it's mandatory to put your annotation. Now what is the first thing that we need to do? Create your WebDriver object. Okay, then open Facebook. Okay, then just print title. Okay, then I copied the same piece of code here. This time since I want to interact with this first name field, I just name it to first name element. Okay, then in try catch block, in this try block, I'll try to locate the element. How to locate the element? So your WebDriver object dot find element. Okay, to that we need to pass by name. Okay, and what is the name? We have to give the string value of that name. Okay, what is the name? Name equal to first name. Okay, now you have your first name web element stored in this object. In that I'll do send keys again. Send keys actually it's equivalent to sending keyboard keys. So manually we actually type keyboard keys in that field, right? Whatever we type on keyboard, that will be sent to that field. The same thing uh, uh, the same thing send keys also does. Okay, so in send keys I write this my first name. Okay, after writing that I'll just wait for 5 seconds so that we can see what's happening, so that browser is not quickly closed. Then uh, after that it's time to quit. Okay, now see, so in try block we have written our piece of code. So in this piece of code there is a possibility of exception, so we put it in try block. It's time to actually we need to handle that exception. What happens in case of exception? Okay, uh, how I am handling here it is just printing it to console. So in real time or in your project you don't print it, you do something else. Okay, what I'll do, um, unable to locate first name field. Okay, then I should force this test case to fail. How to do that? Assert equals true, false. Okay, false. This will fail your test case in case of. Okay, let me run this. So this has opened Chrome browser. Then, okay, it quickly closed. Okay, since there are two test cases now, okay, it first ran first test, then it's running the second test. See, it printed my first name, okay, then closed it. First, it ran, test ng ran this test case, okay, first test case. Then it ran second test case. What I will do, uh, I don't want to run the first case since I have already uh, executed it. I don't want to run it again. I just want to run this test case. How to do that? So the test case which you don't want to run, to that there is a parameter called enabled. Okay, I'll make it enabled equal to false. Okay, see before I just made it false. I have not yet executed it. In our previous execution, when there was no enabled equal to false, see, you can see test run equal to 2, failures equal to 0. 2 tests were run. I want only one test to run. So in that case, what I will do, I just put enabled equal to false. If I put this test case will not be run, or this test will not be run. Only this test will be run. Let me run this again. Okay, it opened Facebook. See, this is printed my first name in this field. It will wait for 5 seconds, then it quit. Okay, this is what happened. So, okay, I just don't want to tell. I don't want to tell just about how to locate element. I want to tell how to handle that complete scenario. Okay, irrespective of the way in which you are trying to locate the element, that is by ID, by name, by class, by XPath. Okay, irrespective of that means, okay, we should be able to handle element not found exception. How to handle that exception is this way. Put it in try block, catch exception. Okay, see, if you need to put the second line also. You know that exception occurs at this point. Okay, what I'll do, I'll intentionally change it to something else which does not exist. There is no element by name this. Okay, in this case it throws exception. Let's see what happens. I am putting the debug point here itself, running debug as test-ng test. Okay, okay, so far what happened, it just opened a new Chrome browser. In that it opened facebook.com URL. Then, okay, it's time to execute this piece of code. So I am doing F6. F6 means it executes this line and goes to next line. So F6. See, here itself exception is thrown. Since exception is thrown, it came into exception block. Okay, what is the exception thrown? If you mouse over this exception object, E is exception object. It has all the information about the exception thrown. See, it is no such element exception. Element not found exception. Okay, exception unable to locate the element. Method name selector first name. See, this there is no element whose name equal to this. That's why it has thrown exception. So since exception is thrown here also, the next two steps did not get execute. So that's quite obvious, because since exception is thrown, that is immediately caught by this catch block, then this code will get executed. If there is no exception at this line, then this line also would have get executed, then this line without executing catch block. Since there was an exception, okay, the next line in try blocks will not get executed, and the control directly goes to catch block, and whatever code present in catch block will get executed. Okay, now so it printed, okay, unable to locate first name field. Okay, then it executed this. So you are done with your test case. It failed. Okay, so there is another thing that I need to tell. uh, Even after putting this try catch block, okay, uh, locator examples, right, block. So in case of exception, you know that this code will get executed once once in case of test ng, if assertion fails, then the further steps will not get executed. The next steps in the test case will not get executed. What is the next step here? That is webdriver.quit. So since your assertion is failed here itself, the next steps in your test case will not get executed. That's why your this window is not quit. It's still open even though test case execution completed. Okay, so it's good to keep before, okay, first quit the driver. So you know there is an exception. Okay, now since there is an exception, you don't want this WebDriver, so you want it to close it first, then throw this. Okay, then do this. If this, since this assertion always fails, okay, this code will not get executed. No problem, we have this line executed already. Okay, let me run this in debug mode. You understand? See, uh, here exception is thrown. Okay, so these two lines did not get executed. Now I am printing. See, this is my WebDriver window. Now I am executing this quit. See, it has closed my Chrome browser. That is intended way. Okay, that is intended only. So since there is an exception, I want to quit the driver, and it's time to fail the test case. How to fail the test case? Using this assertion. Done. Your test case is failed, and your WebDriver instance also closed. You have achieved both. What if there is no exception? If there is no exception, this code will not get executed. This code will get executed. Okay, after try block, since there is no exception, the control will not come into catch block. It will continue with next lines. What is the next line? WebDriver.quit. Okay, so this will close the Chrome driver. So in case of no exception, this line will close the Chrome driver. In case of exception, this line will close the Chrome driver. Okay, that's about by ID. So now since we know by ID, by name, I'll quickly move with the next ones. What is class name? Locate elements by class name. Okay, so first of all, what is a class? See, there is another attribute called class. There is attribute ID, there is attribute name, there is another attribute called class whose value equal to input text. So what is a class? So most of you are aware of CSS. That is nothing but cascading style sheets. So it's basically beautifying. It basically CSS is used to beautify your HTML page. Okay, it's like doing makeup to your page. Where is that head? Okay, so we'll show an example here. See, we'll try it yourself first. See, this is just a small simple HTML. This is HTML. Okay, and when you actually open this in HTML, this is how it looks. Okay, if you see here, this header one, this is nothing but an web element, okay, whose text equal to header one. See, and the tag of this header one, see, I'll put it here and compare with this. Okay, for our email field, the tag name was input. For this field, tag name was h1. Okay, then there is a class attribute. So name of this class equal to intro, and it doesn't have other like type, id, name. Those values are not there. So this is optional. Like you may give or may not give id, name, and all this stuff. So if you think there is a need, then you give id, name. If you don't think that there is no necessary of those values or those attributes, you may not give them. So this is the case. This is one such case. Here only there is a need of this class attribute. That's why they have just given class attributes, and they did not give id, email stuff. Okay, now the point here is, what is a class? See, class name equal to intro. Here in your, this is head part of your HTML, and this is body part of HTML. In head they have the style tags. Okay, in style tag they have created two classes. One class name equal to intro, another class name equal to important, and they are using this intro class for this header one. So what is intro class? Intro class just tells all the attributes. Okay, all visual attributes are how, what should be the font, what should be the color of font. See here, the color equal to blue. Okay, why it is in blue? Because this header one is assigned with class intro, and this class intro tells that if any element is assigned with this intro class, then the text of that element is always in blue. That's why it is in blue. Similarly, there is another class that is green. Okay, so this note that this is an important paragraph. This is another element. This element got assigned with important class, this class. Okay, and this class says color of the text is green. That's why this is green. Okay, simply there are two classes. Okay, okay, one class says the color equal to blue, another class says the color equal to green. If any web element is assigned with class intro, that means that text color will automatically becomes blue, because that color will be applied, or all the attributes present in this class will get applied to that web element. This is what exactly happened. So basically CSS, or this class, is a CSS class. Okay, which explains or which describes how the element should be presented in the web page. What should be the font, whether it should be in bold or italic, what is the position. Okay, like that, like that. So that is about CSS class. Let's not worry about. So if you see any attribute with class, that is nothing but CSS class. Okay, you can make use of that class. So I'll quickly create another test. Okay, locate by class name. So here, find element by, I don't want to use name, I want to use by class name. By dot class name is there, and I need to give the class name. So here we'll see the example of surname field. Okay, and what is the class name of the surname? This is the class name. Okay, if you see, so this complete HTML represents your surname field, and tag for that surname field is the input, and there are multiple attributes for that field. One attribute is text type, another attribute is class, another attribute is data type, name. Okay, these are all attributes. I want to make use of class name attribute. What is the class name? So this is the class name. I'll just copy that class name. I'll make use of that class name by class name. Here the element is surname element. I'll change the name it to I'll name to surname element. Okay, unable to locate surname field. Very simple. Okay, so all that you change is just this by dot. So here we used by name, here we used by id, here we are using by class name. So and I don't want to run this test by name test. Okay, I just want to run the new test that we have created. In order to do that, I'll make it enabled equal to false. That means test engine won't pick this test, even though the test is already there. Test engine won't pick that test. Okay, I'm running this. See, so it said unable to locate. Okay, unable to locate surname field. For some reason, it was not able to locate this element by class name. Let's see whether we have entered proper value. We'll go back to surname field. Okay, and what was the class name? Okay, okay. This element, there is another element which is also using the same class. Since I said this is a CSS class, so this class defines how a web element should look like. So once this class is defined, multiple elements can make use of that class. In the same way, surname is making use of this class name. Also, your this first name field is also making use of this class. So since there are multiple elements with the same class name, that's why this test case failed. We want to uniquely identify the element by class name, surname element. Let me run this again. Okay, still set. Unable to locate the surname field. Okay, what I'll do, uh, we'll find another element which has only one class for it. So this element doesn't have any class, so we cannot do anything. Uh, Let me go and this also doesn't have any don't have any class associated with it. Uh, Let us see whether this class name. So see these are all the kind of challenges that we face while actually locating element. So since there are multiple elements with the same class name, we are getting the exception, but still we are not. Let me run this in debug mode again. Debug as. Okay, it has thrown the exception. Okay, we'll go for another page instead of Facebook, where element uniquely has a class name. Mm, we'll go to Google page. We'll open Chrome Developer Tools using F12. Okay, then point on this field. Let's see whether this has any class name associated with it. Is there any class name for it? No. Style border, no class for it. It has ID, auto complete, search type, search. Okay, it has a class name associated with it. Okay, I will do that. So instead of opening this page, I'll open this google.co.in. Okay, so here I'll open google.co.in. Okay, just printing the title. Then in this space there is this Gmail link at the top. Okay, so whose class name is equal to gb_p. We'll give this class name. Let's see. Let's hope there is there is no other element the same class name. So no, images also has the same class name. Okay, let us run this gb_p. Here see, this is actually this is you are supposed to click this element. Since this is not a text field, you cannot do send keys to this element. In that case, what I will do, uh, instead of this line, I will do a click. Okay, see, it clicked the Gmail link. Okay, so it identified, it was successfully able to identify the element and do the click. Okay, but if I if we check, if you see the class for this Gmail link and images link, see, for images also the class name is gb_p. Okay, and for Gmail also the class name is gb_p. But here we said locate by class name. Since there are two elements, how would WebDriver knows which element to pick? Okay, Gmail or images. So in that case, what happens is, when there are multiple elements with same identifier by ID or by name or by class name like this, so it will return first web element. Okay, okay. Since here in this case we are looking for elements whose class name is gb_p. Since there are two elements with same class name, it returned first value. Sir, it returned first web element. So that's why it clicked on this element. Okay, it's as simple as that. So when there is only one element, it will return that element. When there are multiple elements, it returns first element. This is the this is how this find element works. Okay, it's not find elements. It is just find element. So that means we want to find only one element. It should always return only one element. That is how it works. Find element returns only one web element if there are multiple elements with same identifier, then it returns first element. Okay, very simple. And in case of Facebook, I'm not sure why it was failing. It was throwing some other error. It says um, compound class name cannot be used. Maybe there there would be some other issue with that. Okay, so today we discussed with by ID, by name, by class name, by tag, link test, partial link success. Okay, we'll stop our class here. We'll continue with the next topics tomorrow. Okay, so make sure you'll be in by